Good evening, everybody. How you all doing? Cooper, thank you for joining me tonight.
Good to see you again, Wayne. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure. We haven't seen you on here in what 2-3 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's been going on, man. I mean, you've got some good feelings for me, so I think they're holding down the fort pretty well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've had a couple Parent Dog. We've had El
Mhm.
Kalupa. Yeah, everybody's been doing such an awesome job.
Some knowledgeable people you got bringing it out here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for those who are viewing. We love you guys. And we couldn't do this without you. And we love to do this for you guys. But we're going to cut right to the chase. Without going into too much detail yet, what an interesting night we had with Money in the Bank.
That is a
Would you like
gross
to
understatement.
elaborate?
Yeah, so I mean, I was hoping everything would have been done at headquarters, but lo and behold, it did not. Our first set of matches, everything was live at the Performance Center, which I found very surprising. I thought that was going to be taped too. And then we close out the show with the actual Money in the Bank ladder matches. So, very interesting stuff to jump into and break down here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty good. It was a fairly easy show to take in, which I enjoyed. It wasn't long. There was some good stuff going on, but at the same time, there wasn't that many good stuff. But for the most part, um, I was kind of intrigued and amused, especially by the way the main Money in the Bank match took place,
Right.
which we'll get to in a short while. But first, we're going to jump right into it. I messaged you at this point from the very beginning of the show. The very first thing that happens is New Day comes out. I'm like, oh.
Oh,
You know what? I think it's time for the New Day gimmick to. I think it's had its run at this point. Um, I've enjoyed it the whole entire time up until when Kofi had won the title and lost it. But anyway, that was my first reaction. Then we got the Miz and Morrison comes out, Forgotten Sons and Lucha House Party in a fatal four-way tag team match. For the tag team titles for SmackDown. Good match, a lot of good spots, despite the people that were in it, such as the Spanish Fly taking out the whole field. I thought that was pretty cool. But Cooper, what did you think about this match?
it was a lot better than I was anticipating. You're right. There were some good high flying spots. I thought Psychosis, Grand Metalik, excuse me. Um, he had some good spots there as well. It kind of puts things into perspective for you that the New Day is starting to stall out a little bit. Kofi and Big E, they're a good tandem. It's a great team. Don't get me wrong, but I think we're kind of at the end of that rope right now, especially since Kofi's lost the title. And honestly, if you think about way back in the day when Big E was NXT champion and he beat Seth Rollins to become the second champion, that guy had so much steam and momentum at that point in the developmental. They could have done so much more with him when he got brought up, but he was pigeonholed for so long. I think he kind of got forgotten a little bit and what he can do. But nevertheless, just pairing him up with Kofi and Woods helped out. But to the match itself, you had some good spots. Some things were getting traded out and everything. So with all the false counts, a lot of great tag team work you saw from Lucha House Party. You thought they were going to take Big E out at one moment, and I thought they were
Hmm.
going to win the titles. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You thought the Forgotten Sons had a spot. There really wasn't anything that jumped out for Miz and Morrison for me. That
Well,
that
I have to jump in there really quick. I felt Morrison was carrying the match pretty well tonight. He
Miz
was
didn't do much
really
of
keeping
anything.
me interested. No, not so much the Miz, but Morrison. I felt like was keeping me intrigued in the match with the spots that was going on. I think
Yeah.
Morrison had a great showing.
Yeah, and they even commented that he looks better now than he did in his first run 10 years ago, which
Yeah,
I'll
he's
agree
just a
with
little
that.
looking rough and older in the face. He doesn't have that young baby face anymore, but he sure hasn't lost a step.
No, he's still got the same speed. He can still fly. Starship Pain still looks good. But I mean, the match delivered a lot better than I was anticipating. The Forgotten Sons, they played their heel role like they were supposed to. You get the third man thrown out of there by the referee. Like that's supposed to happen all the time. But it should be a good build up. It was like a test run for them almost to make sure they could be groomed for the titles. But I think they can hold it down or as the next holders down the line.
Yeah, I think this title should have went over to the Forgotten Sons. They should have
Yeah.
been booked to win this match. It just would have been something fresh to see on the Friday night side of things.
Yeah.
But their whole tag team division needs revamping. Even if you do like a trade of one or two SmackDown teams over to Raw in NXT and do a little shifting, but something needs to be done there for sure.
Yep.
But the overall match, I was entertained by it.
It definitely would have gotten some loud pops, especially the Spanish flytrap clearing out everybody. That would have had everybody on their feet and screaming. Just the little spots here and there. Like I said, with Lucha House Party, everybody would have been screaming like, "Are you serious right now?" So I mean, it's just little stuff that jumped out at me that a crowd would have helped even more with the action.
Yeah, I absolutely think that the crowd would have popped for this for sure.
Oh yeah,
I think they would have gotten great fan reaction. I mean, I was into it. I wasn't really looking at my cell phone too much, except for taking a couple notes here and there.
Right.
But I was pretty much in tune to what was going on in that first match. It pretty much had me.
Yeah.
Moving on, moving on. We had R-Truth versus MVP, which. Which was interesting. I feel like they kind of threw in this match because WWE didn't have enough time to fill on their tapings or whatever the case may be. But we see that Lashley comes in and takes MVP's place, which was a little bit of a surprise to R-Truth. And Lashley defeats R-Truth. So what do you think is going to happen with MVP here? Is he recruiting people? What's going on with that?
I think he's conducting interviews, if you will. So I think that's his whole thing. When he's talked to the Street Profits, he's talked to wrestlers here and there. R-Truth, now Bobby Lashley, Apollo. He's talked to so many people. It's like he's trying to go throughout the entire locker room, and he's just doing interviews. And it's a slow build up, but there's this staple that's going to form. And he's going to be the face behind everything. And I think they're just, or I don't know if they have the field set yet for who they want to have in it, or, MVP just talking to everybody is just part of the whole buildup. But I'm curious to see what the payoff is for this and who exactly they're going to put with MVP. Or if it's going to be some rookie blood, especially that he's going to be grooming, if you will.
This could tie into a later feud eventually down the line, maybe around Survivor Series time, where the belt comes off of Drew to go to Lashley if you build this the right way, and just have Lashley drop it at WrestleMania. That's a possibility. But we've seen MVP with talking up Apollo Crews 2 weeks ago. We've seen him with Shane Thorne and Brendan Vick. Who are both recently called up from NXT. So I see something brewing, but now that's just that would probably be like I don't think they go Bobby Lashley down the line and build like a little stable there, but they absolutely could. Lashley's been getting a lot of shine lately, so I can see something long term maybe as soon as they get this Seth Rollins stuff out of the way. Who knows?
Exactly.
If Lashley is booked the right way, he's definitely a believable champion.
Oh, exactly.
So moving on, we had Tamina versus Bayley for the Women's SmackDown Championship. Slow moving at first,
just a bit,
but then it picked up. I knew who the winner was going to be here, Bayley. But the match did pick up. I feel Tamina actually wrestled a pretty decent match.
It's probably one of her best outings in a long time. I'm so used to being her Nia Jax almost, like very stiff, like 3 to 4 moves. That's about it. But it showed kind of another side of her. But I'm kind of bored with the whole Bailey Sasha heel aspect of this and just their temper tantrums and their attitudes. You know, the whole thing with Bailey, oh, I'm thirsty, and then she throws the water on her. Um, Sasha getting involved again. It's a same match, different night almost, with just another person as the filler there. Another cheap roll up pin, or cheap win for her, if you will. I'm bought out of the Bailey saga at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's going to change eventually.
I hope so.
I've heard numerous rumors of them possibly doing a match, maybe even SummerSlam with Sasha Banks versus Bailey. We still have quite a bit of time to get there. We're in the month of May. Yeah. SummerSlam's in August, so we're looking at about 3 months. So there's plenty of time to get there. That could happen.
The question is, who becomes the face of that feud and who stays the heel? Because we all know the bubblegum Bailey with the ponytail, but Sasha's been a face before.
Yeah, that's tough. You got me stumped.
Yeah, it's hard to see
how it unfolds. I think maybe you turn Sasha face. I'm not too sure, but like this is all assuming if they're going that route.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
they still have Lacey Evans chasing, so we could see that payoff. Lacey's been chasing Bailey on and off for months now, ever since Survivor Series. So we could finally see that payoff at SummerSlam.
I really hope we do.
Yeah, that would be a little. I would not want to book Sasha versus Bailey right now. I wouldn't know who to turn face and turn heel. I'm just not sure how you work that at the moment, at least. But moving on, we had the Universal title match. We had Bray Wyatt versus the champion Braun Strowman for the Universal title. Braun gets the win here. I felt like we had a pretty good match. What did you think of all this? Weird ending.
It was very mental, because Bray, every time he took a hard lick, he was always he was laying there, or he would be in the corner just cackling, and it was a real mental fight, and I love that aspect of this feud, because it's Bray who made Braun Strowman versus Braun, so it's maker, or it's master versus teacher, if you will, if you want to go that old school route. But a lot of hard hits, Bray knowing Braun so well, especially when he does the train that builds up running around the ring, and he just chucked him into the table and threw him over it. So, and then, he spiked him with the DDT right there, and then all the puppets start coming up and everything, just a little bit of a mind game right there.
Rattling Rabbit showed up. That was
exactly
awesome. Love that puppet.
And then right at the very end, you see Braun crawling right back into the ring, and he's got the mask on, and Bray almost breaks down into tears. He's so happy. And he says he will be so happy. And that, obviously that seems to be an allusion to the Fiend, who's kind of controlling his brain, if you will, or, the dark side, who's going to be happy that the black sheep has come home. And then you just see Bray absolutely annihilate him after he rips the mask off and stomps it. So Bray's beaten his original maker. So at this point, I think it's going to lead to Monster versus Fiend.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That's happening. They left it wide open. For that. That's happening for sure.
Yeah. But I'm bought into that feud just for the backstory of it and how Bray is playing it right now, how it's just getting into his head, and he wants this optimistic outcome, and he knows he can get it no matter how bad he gets stomped.
Yeah, the storytelling's been really good on this.
Yeah.
I love how they've gone back in time and they showed like the past highlights, and you also kind of see an evolution of Braun Strowman when they showed that video package.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thank God he cut that hair too, because he was balding really bad and needs to keep that mohawk.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but I had to cut my beard too. It was looking pretty bad and unprofessional. I thought I was trying to be a rebel, and not cut my beard until the end of the quarantine, but it's just simply not working out. And
Nah.
I have a problem going on underneath this hat right now too that I gotta address. But anyway, moving on. WWE Championship. This is the match I've been waiting for.
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed this match. This was indeed the match of the night. A close second. I guess you can, make a case for the tag team four-way match that we saw in the beginning of the night. But Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, great match. It absolutely delivered. Tease finishes. So right at the beginning of this, we see Seth come out in his new theme song. And thank God that Burn It Down intro is gone. It did not make sense for him to have it this long.
Yeah, because a Messiah wants to build his stable and build his followers and not burn it down. So, yeah, it made zero sense to keep that for him.
Yeah. So that caught me by surprise. I did not recall him coming out to that theme song or that video package on the Titantron for the entrance on Monday night. So I thought that was pretty cool. Adds a little more to his character, so to speak. And and his David Koresh like persona to him. Jay doesn't really like it. I kind of like it for now. So what did you think of this match?
Well, first, I think Jay might want to get used to it because whenever they change a video package like that in a theme song, that means it's staying around for quite a while. So I think the behind the scenes, they're really invested into this Monday Night Messiah character.
I think it's great.
So I think it's going to be there for a while. But to the match itself, hard hitting. I'm glad that both Raw and SmackDown, their main titles or the world titles, they have great storytelling right now with it, and have the people that they need up there to tell that. Because Seth and Drew,
Paul Heyman,
yes, yeah, the guy's an absolute genius. But I'll touch on him here in a little bit too. But yeah, it was hard hitting. You thought, Drew had the injury there for a little bit. So, just playing that up, can he overcome it? And then Seth just, especially with his interaction with the referee, he's like, you get disqualified, you don't win the title. And Seth, he doesn't even look at the ref. He's staring Drew down the whole time and says, will you please shut up? So Seth has just that mentality, and he's laser focused, and he's just buried into this character, and he's just dead inside, and he has one goal, and he knows having that championship will get that goal. So it was great storytelling by Seth. They beat the crap out of each other, and especially that last sequence where they were trading blow for blow. You thought they were going to bust each other open there for a second until Drew finally hit that last Claymore on him.
Oh, that was a great finish.
Oh yeah.
Seth took a nasty Glasgow kiss to the head.
Yeah.
If I was mistaken, if I said that right.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. That was a nice little visual there. But yeah, that finish was great. Blow for blow at the end.
Yeah, Drew scares me when he throws that headbutt because you never know if he's making full contact and could just shatter someone's jaw with that thick skull.
He probably has hurt a couple people with that by accident. I wouldn't doubt that for a moment.
Yeah, but I think he's learned over the years, especially with a big leg coming at you with a Claymore and how to throw that skull just right. I think he's good with it now.
Yeah. So I was pretty pleased with this second championship match that we got. I absolutely enjoyed it.
The kicker to that match was after the match too.
Yes, so let's talk about that.
So whenever Drew is walking out of the ring, he's standing there right beside Seth, and he looks at him and he sticks his hand out to shake it. And I forgot his exact wording on it, but I know what you're going for. It's not necessarily help me, with everything, but kind of do it right, keep going with it. And him and Seth shake hands, and Seth just kind of looks at him after they break the lock and Drew gets out of the ring. So it leaves it wide open for which way this is going to go now. I mean, is that just going to royally get under Seth's skin even further and push his agenda even more? Is he just going to be vomiting tomorrow night? What it left it so ambiguous for how is that going to rub Seth tomorrow night, and what's it going to do to him mentally that he lost that match? And then to be in the position that Seth's in right now, it's almost like Drew was looking down on him.
Yeah, well, Drew's got about 3-4 inches taller than Seth for sure.
I mean, even both figuratively and literally, it's like it's like he only did that because he beat me. He was showing me up. It's how dare he do that? So I mean, I think it might turn Seth's character up just a little bit further, and we're just going to get an even more diabolical side of this Messiah.
Yeah, the one point that happened tonight too was Drew was talking to Seth, and he was like, "Hey, listen, shake my hand, show me the leader that you are."
That's what it was. Yes, yeah, I was drawing a blank there for a second, but
which I thought was cool. But I think Seth comes out angry, and I'm not really looking into the whole handshake thing for now. I think Seth comes out wanted to challenge Drew again. He'll come out angry tomorrow night. I don't see a developing friendship, so to speak.
No, Lord, no.
That's not happening right now.
Well, Backlash is in 5 weeks, so that's June 14th. So we'll have a July pay-per-view, then we'll be going to SummerSlam. So, I mean, if they fight at every pay-per-view up to SummerSlam, if that's the payoff, that's going to be 4 matches altogether between those two. So, I don't know. That feels like it might be dragging it out a little bit too long. Or if they kind of take this one off, for Backlash and let Drew have someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And we also, in a couple moments, we have to talk about the Money in the Bank winners.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think Seth and Drew, drags out till SummerSlam. Maybe at some point they pause and put a stop to it and revisit it later on in the year. They can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Great match. I'm interested to see what happens tomorrow on Raw. I think they're going to continue the feud. That July pay-per-view, do we know what it's called? Is it going to be like Great Balls of Fire again? Or
I hope to God. I think that was a one-time shot.
That got a lot of flack.
Oh, bad. Money in the Bank was usually in July because Backlash was normally the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. Because, I mean, obviously the Backlash of WrestleMania.
You're right. It was, I want to say it was Backlash. This would have been Backlash, I think.
Yeah.
And June would have been Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever was in July.
I'll have to.
Extreme Rules. I don't know.
What was that?
Maybe Extreme Rules or something.
Yeah, that could be about right.
Yeah, they've maneuvered it a few times around, but I know Money in the Bank was usually June.
Oh yeah. Let's see here.
Because remember, it started Summer Punk a couple of years ago.
Yep.
So I don't think it wasn't really always in May, but anyway, to segue, an interesting segue that I got is the R-Truth interview. I thought was pretty funny. Apparently, R-Truth's persona is just he's always confused and messing up people's names. He doesn't know where he is, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But as we all know, Rob Gronkowski is the 24/7 champion. And R-Truth is being interviewed and comes out saying that he's going to challenge Tom Brady for the 24/7 title, that he's lonely. He wants that belt back. And
he's going to sack him is what he's going to do.
I was dying. But I do think that in one of the NFL games, I would say whichever one is on Fox, I can promise you, this is my prediction. The day that Tampa Bay is playing on Fox, maybe against the Giants, who knows, but it would be on national TV. And R-Truth is going to show up at some point and roll up Rob Gronkowski for the 1-2-3 right on that football field and then take back the 7 title. That is happening because Fox has the relationship with the WWE
I
to
know.
be able to pull that off.
Well, after throwing over $2 billion at them, I think whatever they say will go. So, yeah, that can 100% happen
Yeah.
in
So
the middle of an NFL stadium.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That is definitely happening. I'm calling it the moment Tampa Bay gets on live TV. That is surely happening.
But you think,
What's that?
just real quick with that,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be September. So, I mean, 4 more months of Gronk holding the title and
It's a
not
long
being
title
president.
reign.
Yeah. That's the longest
He's got to get the
24/7
rub.
7-Eleven, I-95, 7-Eleven championship.
I mean, they could also do it during training camp.
True.
I can see that happening too.
Fox has a behind the scenes thing, or kind of like a Hard Knocks that HBO does, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
they could take. They don't really have to drag it out till September, but it would be pretty funny though if they did that.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so finally, the Money in the Bank match. We had the women, we had the men, all in one match.
Yep.
On one side, we had Daniel Bryan, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Otis, Aleister Black, and who am I missing? Missing that sixth guy. Who was that sixth guy that was in there?
Hang on. King Corbin.
Yes, Corbin.
Yeah.
And on the women's side, we had Dana Brooke, Nia Jax. We had Carmella. We had Shayna Baszler. We had Asuka. And why am I forgetting the 6-1 again?
Let's see here. Lacey.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. It's getting late.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of this match? I mean, for me, I was very much amused by the whole thing. There were a number of visuals that we got, such as Otis being lured by the dessert table and then throwing a pie into Laurinaitis' face. We had all of a sudden the guys are becoming friends, the girls are becoming friends, and they're all the guys are going against the girls in the food fight. And then Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles in Vince McMahon's office, and Vince McMahon's like, "Get out!"
And Vince McMahon is in
they're both
jeans.
scared. They're both asking. They're both acting like friends for a moment. Then they turn on each other again, like the way it should be.
I'll say that AJ Styles reliving his WrestleMania with Undertaker, that big visual of the Undertaker, and then opening that door and seeing the casket. That was pretty awesome.
That was cool.
But I was constantly laughing the whole time, like especially from the start of the match. You know, Asuka, everybody's like, "Where is she?" And they look up, and the bell rings, and she just dives. Typical Asuka move, if you ask me. But you know, what else would you expect from her? You know, the brawl in the weight room, and then Baron Corbin just grabs a 45-pound metal plate and just chucks it and shatters that massive mirror.
Yeah, you could imagine what words were going through his head.
Yeah, I think there were very
definitive expletives for sure.
Oh yeah,
he had the look on his face like, "What did I just do?"
And then Otis just nonchalantly picks up that weighted down bar and just drops it on AJ's chest, and he can't move at all. And he's begging, he's begging Ray to help him out, and he's like, no.
That, by the way, looked about 500 pounds to me.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're brawling through everything. It's a fatal 4-way in an elevator. You can see on the camera there, and then they get to the food. And first, Ray is the last one to get up to the second floor, and here's the toilet flush, and here comes Brother Love out of the bathroom.
I was wondering if he was going to wash his hands, but then he did. So that was a good move on his part.
And then, like you said, AJ and Daniel get into Vince's office, and he's sitting there in jeans and a button-up, like you would never see Vince.
I did not even notice the jeans.
Yes, Vince in jeans. And then he's like, "Get out!" And then it's like when they get out of there, he just washes his hands, and they're moving. they moved the chairs that they moved back into place. Like, sorry, Vince, our bad. Sorry, because they know how OCD Vince is and everything, and how he likes a specific order. So they made it nice and clean, and Vince is just sanitizing his hands and getting back to work.
You notice they didn't fight in his office?
Nope. I think they knew better. And then again, the spot with Alistair throwing AJ into that room when he saw the casket and the UV light in there. You know, some good spots there. And then the massive food fight breaking out where Paul Heyman was eating.
Oh, this was great.
Yeah, he tried restoring order, but Otis just grabbed that tray and just threw it right in his face. I'm like, that probably hurt a little bit.
How about
that tray was loaded down?
How about Rey Mysterio getting choked out by Shayna Baszler?
I noticed that, and then he got crushed by Otis and Nia. I was like, that poor little fella's dead.
That was fantastic.
because they are just accordioning him, and he's just like, and just drops like it was nothing. And then you see that nice little moment between Otis and Nia where they're staring at each other. It's like, do we fight or do we not? And they're like, nah. They just kind of turn around and go back to their thing. It's like, oh, is Otis cheating on his girl right now?
Yeah, I know. Maybe they like planted seeds for the future or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, and then
how about the spot with Nia Jax putting Carmella through the table?
Yeah, that thing folded like it was paper. Like she picked her up and dropped her hard.
It was a good visual.
Yeah. Oh, and then excuse me. Then the Money in the Bank conference room when Dana Brooke grabs the briefcase and thought she won, and Stephanie's like, you see Stephanie, she's like, Dana, that's not the contract briefcase. You got to go to the roof for that one. And then Carmella just pops her over the skull with that painting.
Yeah, you know what? I was thrown off a little bit for a second when Dana Brooke grabbed that suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
I was thrown off. Like, wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be on the roof.
I think they planted that on purpose because I was sitting there. I'm like, there's no way this is over already. So luckily, everything continued with it. And then, oh, go ahead. You're good.
Well, I mean, I think that covered all the spots in the building. I liked how we got a grand tour of the building, though. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you saw, like, the weight room, you know, because you're used to seeing old school pictures, like the old W's that are on the neon lights around the ceiling there.
Yes.
You know where you are when you see that. You know, you got into the cafeteria. You saw multiple conference rooms. You know, they really did explore the area a little bit there. And then whenever you had that makeshift interview area where they had the cage, you know, the chain link in the back and the ring ropes, you know, Baron Corbin's tied up and Daniel Bryan's giving him yes kicks, and Otis the whole time is like, yeah, yes, yes. And then Bryan's like, and then just starts kicking Otis into the corner too. So I mean, it's just
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then what was up with that Doink the Clown? That guy.
I have no idea where that came. That was when they focused on the back of that chair and you see the clown wig pop up.
That was like, so random.
Why? Like, I get it. Like they wanted cheap pops and spots here and there, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you were going to go for that, why not just have Steve Lombardi do that? You know?
Steve. Yeah, no kidding.
Would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Calling the brawler himself. Put on the Yankees jersey one more time.
So yeah, that pretty much covers it for the building itself. Then you see Corbin make his way up. You see the women are starting to work their way up at that point. What did you think of the visual, the overall visual of the ring being outside with the trees, suitcases, the ladders? What did you think of that visual? Do you think that WWE could do a show up there one day?
They could. It's just once they're zoomed out and panned out on it, it looks a lot better. But, you know, once they have that tight visual and the ring is taking up most of the camera space, you really can't tell that much that they're on the roof. You can see like a couple passing cars in like the top right-hand corner, but that's about it.
There was a couple overhead shots, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, once they do that, yeah, absolutely. You know, they needed more of that to kind of give it that visualization, more higher overhead shots.
Yeah.
And then rest in peace, Rey Mysterio.
Yep, and Aleister Black.
Yeah, poor guys. They were the ones who took the spot there.
Yep, they didn't come back.
Nope.
The rest, they fell off the roof. Done.
Yep.
And you know what? If I were them, I wouldn't even show up on Raw tomorrow. Just make it believable. Sell it.
Oh yeah. And one thing that got me about just the match overall and the ending, you had Asuka, Nia, and Lacey, and that's really it.
That was the top three anyway. That I thought was one of those three were going to be winning. I was probably leaning more towards either Shayna and what's her name, Lacey, to win.
Yeah.
But go on.
But it's just that they only had the three up there. I get it. You can finish a match without having everybody involved, but it's just like they scrubbed the other three out. And it's like,
well, they were knocked out in the building.
True.
They were knocked out. They were beat up. They couldn't survive.
True. But I mean, it's just having those three there. I felt like they kind of rushed that ending a little bit, but it was pretty cool to see Asuka kick and beat Corbin off of a ladder.
Yes. Now let's talk about this for a second. I was thinking to myself, all right, so Asuka's got her own briefcase, the white.
Mm-hmm.
The men got their own briefcase, being the green one. So why did Asuka have to push Corbin off the ladder? Asuka's clearly going for hers. Why not let Corbin, go for his? Which I thought was a little bit of a weird spot. Maybe Asuka doesn't like Corbin and just, threw him off. But I thought that was a little weird spot. Like, it's not like Corbin was going to grab that woman's suitcase, or so I would hope. But I thought for a moment those were going to be your two winners.
Yeah,
until
she kicked him off. See, my thought was she was kicking him off, and when she grabbed that briefcase, they said, the women's Money in the Bank winner, but you saw nothing else from any of the other guys. I'm like, wait a minute, was there only supposed to be one winner for this whole shebang, or did I miss something here?
Oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, did they completely change it on the fly and 12 people were going for just their respective briefcase and only one winner? Because it was an end of a match. They rang the bell and everything. I'm like, so the guys aren't getting there's not going to be a guys winner? I was
thinking
confused
about the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, then they kind of cleared everything up, and the guys' match kept going.
Continued, yep. So we know that Asuka, as you guys know by now, watching this, Asuka is the women's 2020 women's Money in the Bank winner. Okay, all right, we'll give you that. I mean, I kind of had an idea Asuka was in the mix, but they could have gone in three other directions easily. But Raw kind of gave it away last week in their advertisements that Becky Lynch is going to confront the winner of the Money in the Bank. So obviously you kind of had an idea that the winner of the Money in the Bank was going to be somebody from Raw, which narrows it down to Asuka, Nia, and Shayna. So you could have made a case for either one of those three to win. But that was a good call because Asuka has basically been featured the most over the past few weeks. And then a close second, Nia Jax with her return. And Shayna, I don't know what's going on with that.
I think they've screwed that up from the get-go with her. She went from absolutely killing everybody, especially in that Elimination Chamber match.
Well, Becky and Shayna should have had a longer match at WrestleMania. And on top of that, Shayna should have won.
That should have easily been a 15-minute match, not a 7-minute match.
I totally agree. They definitely botched Shayna's push. Or maybe it was intentional. We don't know.
Possibly.
We don't know. I guess maybe more news comes out later on.
Yeah.
Then we get to the ending. So they teased Baron Corbin. They teased a couple others. At one point, AJ Styles, they teased. He, to me, after watching Raw last Monday, seemed to have been the overwhelmingly obvious pick to win this year's Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
You could have made a case for Aleister Black. Who else did we? We even talked about Baron Corbin because Baron Corbin heavily featured on SmackDown. That could have been like the next feud for Braun Strowman.
Yeah, that'd definitely be a good heel versus face feud if he won.
So we get the winner after AJ Styles and Baron Corbin drop the suitcase in an interesting visual. Otis catches it and wins the 2020 men's Money in the Bank briefcase. What is happening here?
As soon as I saw Corbin fall, and I was like, I was right. And I see the suitcase fall down, and I see Otis catch it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, what? My jaw hit the floor. I was like, no words came out of my mouth because when it's on the floor, nothing happens. And I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, how do they play this out? I mean, you've got two face champions right now. I can't see Otis as a heel right now either. Especially, he's got the girl, he's got the briefcase now. How do you roll this out?
So I think what's going to happen is somebody's going to challenge Otis for that suitcase and beat him for it.
True story.
Because who's the next face? First of all, who's the next face to take the title away from Braun Strowman? I'm sorry. Who's the next face to win the belt after Braun? I mean, how do you get there? So you could have Otis cash in several months from now. Mm-hmm. Maybe have him hold it for the whole year.
Yep.
And have him cash it in on a heel. You can do something like that. But if you're thinking a short-term booking, it doesn't really make sense to have Braun versus Otis. I mean, they would need to. Of course, WWE would want to build a storyline around that. So how do you get there? I honestly don't know at the moment. I think a prominent heel defeats Otis at some point.
You think Ziggler becomes Mr. Money in the Bank again, gets his revenge on Otis?
You could absolutely do that. And it would just be a weird pairing to have Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Strowman.
It would.
It would be very interesting to see. I mean, you could absolutely go that route since Dolph Ziggler and Otis already have, a feud going on. That would just add a whole nother layer to it. But I'm not too sure what you do with Otis here. Nobody guessed Otis.
No.
Nobody would have. If you did, I would consider you a booking genius. But no, I mean, the obvious pick was AJ here, and it kind of made sense to have AJ win it, or one of the heels.
Oh yeah,
but they went in a total direction. Who knows what they got planned? Like I said, it could go a couple ways. Like I said, Otis could hold it for a while and then cash in on the next heel champ, or you have Otis lose the briefcase to somebody else, and then that person cashes it in later on. That's probably the two scenarios, and I think that they go with the latter, where Otis loses the briefcase at some point.
I hate that kind of booking, though, whenever they do that, because I would take that kind of as a slap.
Well, it hasn't happened in a while.
True. But, I mean, it's still one of those that, hey, we're going to give you the briefcase, but you're just kind of a placeholder right now to throw another match out there. And it's like,
well, you gotta remember, these are just props.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, I know it's not an actual championship.
Some of these wrestlers aren't taking it serious as long as they have a spot.
True.
But some people in real life, some wrestlers in real life do care if they're a title holder or featured as the main event. I'm sure that politic is very much around. But we would have to see. Someone losing a briefcase to somebody else, that hasn't happened in a while, where briefcase was on the line. I think the last time may have been, I want to say Edge versus Kennedy. I could be wrong.
I thought Cena was a little more recent than that. Didn't
Yeah.
Cena lose his briefcase?
Oh, I'm not even too sure.
I know
Let's just
Damian Sandow lost his briefcase, didn't he?
Yes, Sandow lost his briefcase, and okay, so that would have been a little bit more recent. Kennedy lost his briefcase too.
Mm-hmm. Poor guy.
So we haven't seen anything like this as far as somebody losing their briefcase in an up for grabs match in probably about, I think it's about 5 years
Yeah,
or so.
that's about right. Be a good thing to revisit.
What happens tomorrow? Where do you go from here? Where do you go with the championship matches? With the titles, the Universal title, the WWE title, and where do you go with the Money Bank winners?
So, Becky's going to call out Asuka. Asuka has a lot of unfinished business with her, since she made her tap out at the Rumble. So that's going to be an interesting build up there. Asuka, you don't know if she's going to cash in immediately because she's such a hothead right now. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think Seth is going to come out and just be absolutely bonkers. Not like fighting people, but he's going to be further down that egotistical hole. And
Yeah, he might snap.
Yeah, just buying more into his own prophecy for Monday Night Raw and going further down that Messiah rabbit hole and just get even crazier. Like nothing like David Koresh ever got to whatsoever. This is going to be something completely different. So I think his work is not done and will just carry on even harder right now. I really hope him and Drew, I wish they would take a break if this payoff is going to be at SummerSlam, but I don't think they can really. They need more build for it if this is going to go that long. So I'm curious to see which way they go with that.
Well, there could always be a distraction feud, and I would start it relatively soon, but some kind of distraction feud for Seth Rollins and then lead to a number one contender match and then have Seth Rollins right back in the mix for a match against Drew.
True. And then the Universal title, they don't need to stop this at all. That loss, I think Bray is, because especially at that end where he said he'll be pleased and he'll be so happy, Bray's going to be torn even harder because he knows he failed the Fiend and failed his mission to get Braun to come back home and join the family. So I think that is he's going to be in such a dark place. That's going to be the start for having the Fiend fight the monster. So we'll see that build start on Friday.
Awesome. I absolutely agree. Well, folks, for those of you that checked in and watched or about to watch or listen in the next couple of days, we thank you so much. That's going to wrap up our Money in the Bank post show. We got our Monday Night Raw post show tomorrow night, immediately after Raw at about 11:10, 11:15 or so. We would definitely, if you guys like our show, if you guys enjoyed watching, listening, make sure you give us a subscribe on YouTube, and that would be on the Deep Six Pro Wrestling channel. Also available on the Deep Six Pro Wrestling podcast, available on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. If you guys enjoy what you're listening to and watching, please give us a share. And I would like to wish you guys all a good night. Cooper, thank you so much for hopping on tonight.
Thank you.
Shall we see you tomorrow?
Maybe.
Maybe? Okay.
Yeah. We'll have to see how the schedule goes tomorrow.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Well, in the meantime, everybody, Cooper, have a good night.
Thank you all.